Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRN-FM, and I'm joined by the incredible and amazing Michael J. Ross. I want to welcome you, Michael. And I think I'm still reeling from the show last week we did with Carol Collins. There was so much amazing information and so much positive energy, and it just filled my heart. It's still overflowing. I think I've had a smile on my face nonstop since then. How about you?
Me, and me as well. It's just been putting it, not only is it mind-blowing, but it's been fun to focus on for the whole week, and it has really expanded my thinking with regard to what how I'm applying it to everything that in my life. It's really, really phenomenal. Really an amazing concept. So in terms of manifestation. And, everybody's trying to go from one place, from point A to point B or point A to point Z. And the process we talked about last week with Carol is just, it makes it so much simpler. It's making it simpler for me. I hope it is for you too.
Oh, without a doubt. And the words that the teacher spoke about your potentiality is far greater than you understand keeps echoing and reappearing in different forms. And there is a Buddhist analogy that I again, you know me with my books. I love my books, and I open the book up, and what do I see? It says, one Buddhist analogy compares each of us to a person living in a hovel, beneath which is buried a magnificent treasure. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, wow, that is so interesting. And, it went on to talk about how you dig and you find that, and then you become this incredible being as you unearth all of these different aspects of yourself, all your gifts, all of the treasures that lie within. I just really was confirmation for me. I thought, just incredible. Really, truly incredible.
I agree.
And you wonder, Michael, how do we get away from that? I don't know where it is. I think that when we come in, and I've been listening to a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza again lately, and how up until the age of really the first 6 years, you're just absorbing, and there is no boundaries. And the way that the brain is processing information and the states of the brain, it really is quite transformative in our potential. And then I think what happens is we start to get filters. We start to get opinions of different things, and they begin to shape our perceptions and influence our decisions and guide our actions rather than centering in and allowing our heart to be the true guide to navigate life effectively. And it becomes a difficult challenge sometimes to discern which opinions truly matter. And I think sometimes we have to tune in and to be able to have the teachers guide us. It makes a big, big difference. It helps us look at our own opinions and that inner voice and understand maybe what values and desires or beliefs, whatever it is, that help us to become, and as you so eloquently always say, a sovereign being. What does it that makes us say, you know what, not so much today. You know what, I'm not feeling it. I appreciate that you appreciate that and you think that that's really great for me, but no, thank you. I think I'm going to go a different direction. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of courage.
So much courage, because as a whole, you have peers, you have family, you have people that you love and respect, and you're going to get flack from them because they're giving you their opinions based on their own experience, their experiential wisdom up to that point in their lives. And maybe that experiential wisdom doesn't include success. Maybe it includes failure that really hurt them and that they're still possibly haven't processed or recovered from mentally, and in many cases, some cases physically. And they're going to tell you exactly what they think about what it is that you're looking to do. It could be your dream, whatever your heart's telling you to do. And it is challenging, because you're going to be out there as an island on your own in terms of your own belief. And, as a sovereign, This is where the rubber hits the road. That's what it is. As a sovereign being, your rubber hits the road when you can take an idea, a concept, something your heart's telling you to do, whatever that may be, and you run with it. And you run with it, and you run with it with full commitment and confidence, and as Bashar always likes to say, being passionate about that thing, right? And you have to stay that way, because there are going to be setbacks. So, as I think we talked about a couple of shows ago, we have to be persistent. We have to continue to believe in ourselves and understand the definition of failure isn't it's all over and done. A mistake is a mistake. A failure is not a mistake. A failure is not negative. Mistakes aren't negative, I should say. That they are just opportunities to understand what we do and don't want.
So true.
Where we shouldn't go. And that those things, although they might hurt us at the time, we have to process them in a positive way instead of the rote way that we're taught to process things, and continue to listen to our heart. And because we never know. I mean, I don't know. Everything is, as I told somebody the other day, nothing's pointless. Everything has a meaning in your life, and down to the
so true.
To the smallest little nuance. Everything has meaning, and it's more fun focusing on the meaning of that thing and the positive meaning of it than it is trying to figure out why it's there or why it happened. And that everything will work out the way it's supposed to, because again, nothing's pointless and everything has meaning.
Or the how, right? The how. I think that's a big one where a lot of people get stuck. And sometimes I think too, when we have an idea or a creative thought, and we start to venture on this path of whatever it is that we want to venture on. I think about when young kids they look to their parents, and somewhere around age 12, everybody becomes stupid, and they develop their own critical thinking, or whatever they think, maybe perhaps it's critical thinking and their own values. And then all of a sudden, then they go to college or wherever they're going to, and then they start to lose that sort of inner spark, and they start to be influenced by the people they're going to school with and the things. And I think sometimes we all sort of lose touch with that inner spark, that inner truth of what guides us and shapes us, and really what brings us joy. I know that it's sometimes difficult to develop relationships where we have mutual respect and kindness and understanding. And I think that when we sort of prioritize joy and love, it does help us bring us back to that center of who we were innately meant to be. I don't know, Michael, if you ever had this, but when I was a kid, there was a certain point, I think it was my teenage years, that I began to think of my parents as stupid. They went from knowing and having all of the answers to absolutely knowing nothing. And I think at some point, all teenagers go through that, where they think that their parents no longer have all the answers. But sometimes in life, maybe that's what it is. But
that's true. I think every generation has that moment in time where you are so steadfastly understanding of what it is your position is, that when a peer, be it your family, your mom, your dad, or somebody older than you, an aunt and uncle or whatever, has an opinion about it, you go, what in the world do you know? You're so steadfast in your own, anchored, I should say, in your own knowledge, and maybe even what your heart is telling you to do, that you have that moment. And I can't tell you when mine was. Probably after high school. Probably after high school. After high school, I think it happened. In high school, it wasn't a big deal. My parents and I, we always had a great relationship. And I, by the way, have not had kids either in my life. That was a steadfast choice, because I didn't believe that this was my lifetime to have children. there were other things that I needed to accomplish as a soul, and that wasn't one of them, being a parent. However, that experience, I should say, I have had on many, many other experiences, and I've become a very good observer of other parents and other kids, and in understanding and reading what we have. We've got a different perspective about, why kids do what they do and the behavior as such. And there's that time, there's that moment, and it's a very stark one for a parent when the child either says it, verbalizes it, or thinks it or even has the expression that leads you to believe they're thinking it. That can be also a bit of a shock to your sovereignty as a parent. It definitely is. Do you remember yours?
Well, it's funny. I think growing up, there was a certain point where my mom became, embarrassing. I do remember that. And I look back on it now, and I think, geez, wouldn't I love to have those times back again? Just to have that little bit. And I think that when you sort of grow through these stages, and even when you're in college, you kind of, everything's new. For me anyway, as a freshman, and then I looked around, and you kind of find your little niche, and then you kind of go out from that and go out from that. But I look at how my life has unfolded since that time, and I went to an event this last week, and one of the people was from Long Island, and I said, it's interesting because one of my college roommates was from Long Island, and she always sort of but Pittsburgh's not New York, and there's nothing here. And then she ended up marrying a guy who was a pharmacist and ended up in Pittsburgh. And it was just sort of, but there you go. There's love changing her opinion. I mean, I know it sounds sort of funny, but it really did. It became a different thought process. But I think for any of us in our life, as we're sort of navigating through, there are different choices that we have an opportunity to make. And the more we can sort of bring in the positive and amplify that, I think that it will, it really does start to make a difference. I know in a lot of the traditions that I sort of have followed, the more positivity that you can bring in every day and find joy in every situation and drop into the heart, that's when magic happens. And for myself, I had, as you know, I was working on a little bit of a challenging project. I had a tenant move out, and I had a deadline, and I wasn't really quite sure how it was all going to unfold. And the people that I needed aligned seemingly magically in my life. And the more that I went into that, I was just so grateful for each and every one of them that had their part in making it happen. Now, my deadline was June 1st, and I finished at 6:18 in the morning on June 1st, but I still made my deadline. And I'll just tell you, my heart just literally just burst, overflowing with so much joy. It was completion, but I was so grateful for all the amazing people who showed up to assist me in my process. And was it my point of attraction? I will say, I will own that. I will own that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Own it. Your energy brought it all together, and we have to own it. I mean, otherwise what you're going to find yourself doing is questioning it, which is kind of the wrong thing after you successfully manifested what you needed to manifest, what you wanted and desired most. And this is the one part. As I say in golf, people make a miracle shot and then they go, "I can't believe I did that." Well, of course you did. You've always had that capability. You've always had that, as we were talking about last week, infinite potentiality. Yet when it happens, when everything works out the way that we had planned, because of our own energies and our own purpose and our own passion and excitement, and positivity about ourselves, in backing ourselves, we tend to go, I can't believe it. And you're going,
right.
Why wouldn't you believe it? You want more of it, believe it. Believe it, and you'll get more of it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm so proud
totally.
of me. That is such a magnificent thing.
It was. And the funniest part was I had two different people working, and I had this bathroom vanity that needed replaced. And it was so interesting because the one contractor said, oh, I'll take care of it. And unbeknownst to me, the other contractor said, well, I'll take care of it. And neither one of them took care of it. But rather than, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. She's moving in. We need this to happen. And rather than go into fear or distress or angst and go, like anger or whatever it was, I was like, how can we do this? Like, I really need this done. And both of them, they both showed up that day after, and the tenant was very understanding that there was just a miscommunication. But there wasn't any, it was just a silly little thing that happened. And we got through it, and they got it in, and it looked beautiful. And, and it's in the past now. And I'm grateful. And, but again, as you said, Michael, you get sort of stuck on these points or go into fear or go into panic. And for me, it's just about communication, navigating through that. There was a miscommunication, and I explained it to my tenant, and she was lovely. She was very understanding. And, I didn't have to go into fear. I didn't have to go into embarrassment or shame or any of those other opposite of positive emotions. I could just be in joy that, guess what, it was done. I was so happy.
Yeah. Oh, you should be. You should be patting yourself on the back big time and sitting down and just, being eternally grateful for the process and the way that it unfolded. Because when you're in that space, and you're doing things from the heart, you're positive, you have passion and excitement behind what you're doing, and you have an unwavering knowledge that everything will work out. And that's really the key, an unwavering knowledge that everything will work out. And in many cases, not exactly the way that you had envisioned it, because you would first envision it with one person, didn't work, another person, didn't work, to put in the cabinet, and then the next person came along. Nowhere during that process did you insert a lot of negativity and angst and disruption and drama about, right? You didn't bring that negative energy in.
Sure.
You kept it flowing positive, and that allowed the next third thing to come. Maybe perhaps that was the one that was supposed to be there all along, but you just needed to go through the first two to get to the third. And this is the way a lot of it happens. I got to tell you a quick little story. When I moved here, I moved from California. I drove across the country with an 8x12 trailer with all my possessions in it. But I didn't necessarily do it without. I came to Panama City Beach, and I bought a place. I closed on it on June 1, right? I closed on it June 1, and I needed some remodeling work done. And I literally, I didn't know anybody here. Nobody else knew anybody. I'm going, I need somebody to remodel 2 bathrooms. I need somebody to remodel this kitchen. I need somebody to do these things, do some painting in here for me, in these colors. And I wasn't living here yet. So I flew out here for 2 weeks. And I stayed in the new place that I had. And I said, I looked in the paper. I found a guy, a father and 2 sons, that ended up doing not only the remodeling there in that place, but they built Sandy's barn later on, and did some other things here in her house. And I just looked them up in the paper. I called them, and I told them what I needed. They said, we'll get over there, and they came over, and they took care of it. Literally, long story short, I remodeled. I was only here 2 weeks. I bought all the plumbing stuff. I bought everything I needed. I left it, the paint, everything, and I came back flew back in on June 30th, and it was done. And then I moved out here
That was 2 bathrooms done by that time. That's amazing.
2 bathrooms and a kitchen. He and his sons had knocked it out. I'd ordered the granite. I knew when the granite was going to be put in. I had a schedule of things happening, and I was still doing some phone calls from California. However, I was able to model my place and get it done that month because they could have started. They started immediately, and that's why they had an ad in the paper because they were looking for work. And so I met up with them, and it's in 20 years that I've been here, I've always found people that have been honest, that worked with me and did great work. And it's pretty amazing that has been the case. Story number 2, my mother broke her femur, and this was about 7 years ago. She's 95 now, so obviously she was in her late 80s, 88 or so. Broke her femur, had a plate on her right leg, plate with 12 screws, and 3 months of convalescence where she couldn't walk, put any pressure on her right leg. And I flew out there, and while I was seeing her, I said, you know what, we're going to remodel your bathroom because when you come back home, you're not going to be able to use the bathroom you have. It's not wheelchair accessible or anything, or walker accessible. You're going to have a shower that's accessible, that's handicap accessible. We need to take care of this. So I went ahead and, again, long story short, I was able to remodel her bathroom from Florida. I remodeled her bathroom from Florida using that, using the Thumbtack Act, using people that my mother had worked for in the past. I phone called them. I called them up and I said, hey, my mother's worked with you in the past. This and that. I got this happening. I'm going to be out there in about 10 days. And can I meet with you? And I went and picked tile. I've got bathroom fixtures all taken care of. I had them ordered. They got in. They got delivered to the house. I mean, everything. I literally only spent 2 weeks there and remodeled their entire bathroom. And it is possible to do anything if you are positive. And you're positive. I'm positive. So our frequencies are high enough where we're not going to attract the people who are looking to rip us off. We're not going to attract those people. We're not going to attract people we cannot trust because we trust others, and that's the frequency that we're on. Our honesty is at a level where we're going to attract other people. We live from love and kindness and compassion and empathy, and we're always going to find and attract the people who resonate with us, with our frequency, and who are good people. And we will find people who are really awesome, who everybody says they're busy for 3 months. You'll never be able to book them. And they go, I'll get on it this weekend. And they get it done in the time frame that you need. The same thing happened when we remodeled Sandy's house here. That was the 3rd remodel. And the same thing happened. If I needed something done within a week, to meet the time frame of something else getting done after that, I was always able to find a really good craftsman to do it. And these are people that they're so good they don't advertise. They've got tons of work, and they just come in and do it. And people. There's another thing I discovered too, and this as well as me, that people in the service industry, be it craftspeople, be it carpenters or plumbers, electricians, whatever, they get a lot of complaints. They get a lot of drama.
I know.
And if you come at a situation where you need somebody to work with you, and you come at them with your compassionate kindness and from love and from the heart, they appreciate that. They appreciate it. And they will bend over backwards for you. And all you have to do is follow through and do everything that you say you're going to do, and they'll do the same. And it's an amazing coherence when it occurs. It's amazing when it happens, and it's working from the heart and finding other people, attracting other people, and running into other people. The synchronicities are incredible when you're in that state.
I completely agree. I was so grateful that both of these gentlemen came on a Saturday and I actually had to ask the one, I said, because he wanted to come at 8, and I said, I just went to bed at 6:30. I said, could you just give me a few hours I just need like a little extra hour, but I met them at 9, and I just know myself. I just needed, because at some point I was going to be a little delirious and punchy or whatever. But the assistance, and I mean, I was just thank you. I mean, just over and over, I was so incredibly grateful. But Michael, I think that as we navigate through life, whether it's remodeling stuff or whatever, life is going to throw us curveballs, and it's how we bounce back from those setbacks and how we maintain that positive outlook. And the more you feed it that joy, and I mean, and I'm the first person to laugh at myself. I mean, geez, oh man, so many times I think, what is going on? But I don't have a negative opinion about myself. If I make a mistake, I correct it. I self-correct. I always try to be, sort of my own little cheerleader. Like, okay, well, you know what? That didn't work. Well, what can we do next? And I went to see a friend of mine this week. She invited me over to her home. She had done some remodeling, and she had the most amazing bird feeders hanging from this limb off of her deck, and I thought she had them on pulleys, and so she could raise and lower and feed them. And I said, well, how the heck did you do that? And she said, well, I used to stand on a ladder, and she said, and I filled this little like a nylon filled with pebbles, and I tied it, and I just kept throwing it up and over and up and over until it went over. She said, I hit myself in the head how many times with this bag of rocks? And I thought, but you know what? She's got a beautiful app. She said, she sits there and she's like, look at this, and she can listen to the sounds of the birds, and it identifies them. And she was just, and I thought, you know what? What a great metaphor. Sometimes you got to get hit in the head a couple of times in order to bring yourself some joy. But my goodness, it was. She had 4 of them, and I'll have to see when next time I go over and take a picture, because it was incredible. And to sit out on the deck and just watch all the different birds come in. I mean, when we were sitting, there were 4 different types of woodpeckers that came in, and birds that I had never, I've seen them, but I don't identify with them. But, she just wanted to bring that into her world. And so no matter what it is, if, you're bringing in and you have these little obstacles, she didn't quit is what it was. The first time she got hit in the head, she didn't quit. She knew, and if you would see how it had to have been 15 feet up from where, and she's a petite lady, and I don't know how she did it. I was just totally amazed. She said, well, she said the other way, before I put the pulleys on there, she said I would stand on the ledge, and she said, but I was afraid I was going to fall off the deck. I said, thank goodness you didn't. Because, yeah. But I think sometimes it's that love and joy that will guide us towards whatever it is that we're meant to bring in, that fulfills us.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's a wonderful story, by the way. I love that. Where there's a will is a way, and that obviously is the thinking of your friend, and she made it happen. Yes, the thing, though, that comes to mind when you're talking about that is talking about these stories of making things occur, is the perceptions people have generally. I find people, I still run into people who need something done. However, the first thing out of their mouth is fear-based. It's about it supports this narrative of finding the wrong person, or so and so had this really bad story, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to find the wrong person. I don't want a person to rip me off, or I don't want a person to do this or that. And I'm going, wow, this is a real interesting negative diatribe. Why don't we just simply focus on finding the right person? Why would we set up our perceptions for failure before we even?
That's so true.
And it's so, because this is this kind of society that we live in. People will tell you the worst story, the horror stories, and you hear enough of them, and you start thinking, oh wow, it's kind of like travel. I don't want to go there because something happened. So and so went there, and that happened to them. Well, it happened to them because I would be willing to bet that their perceptions allowed their energy level to match those perceptions, those negative perceptions. They had a thought in their mind that they were going to be ripped off, or they didn't want to be ripped off. They were fearful about it. And what happened? They attracted being ripped off. You know, I mean, like, I don't have that. I just go and I find the people that can help me get to where I need to go. Not everybody's looking to rip you off or in some way make your life a living horror show. However, we can attract that to ourselves when that is our perception of needing to get something done. We do ourselves a disservice when we approach life from a perspective of fear and negativity. That's, I guess, what I'm looking to say. And that happens a lot when we need to get something done, when we have to have something, when we want to accomplish something in a period of time. That's kind of what the way it goes. And I would encourage our audience here on PRN-FM to, in our podcast, Connected Love, to literally examine our perceptions and make sure our perception is about what it is that we need to accomplish or we'd love to have done, what we need to engage somebody in to help us, that our perceptions of them are positive, that the right person will arrive, and generally when that happens, the beauty of it is that they can actually enlighten you with other information you didn't know that can help make whatever it is you're looking to do better. That is the beauty of it, because you're going to attract knowledgeable people. And they'll say right off the bat, nah, don't want to do that, because if you do that, this is going to happen. And you're like, wow, really? Yeah, so maybe I need to rethink things. Be flexible and open and loving and kind and respectful, because that's just the way to go about engaging with people who you would like to help you.
Right. Well, you know, I truly believe that when you let joy and love be your guiding presence, it can totally transform your life. And it's just a minute. Sometimes you have to just stop yourself and take a deep breath in and practice the heart math, which is, you know, you drop into the field of the heart and you think of something that brings you joy, something that in your life that you love, no matter what it is. And as you start to cultivate that feeling, you can get back to it quicker and quicker and quicker. And one of the stories I love from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he and his staff do this, he said he had somebody in one of his classes, and they were doing a meditation to bring energy into the energy centers of the body. And this gentleman, he didn't really believe in it, and he was on his way to fly to the workshop, but he was listening to the meditation and as he was driving, which I wouldn't recommend. But anyway, but by the time he got to the airport, he kept like pulling the energy in, and he went through. Now they have the detectors that scan the whole body at the airport, and when he went through there, they said, "Sir, can you step aside?" And they said, "Can we touch your head?" And he said, "What do you mean touch my head?" He said, "Well, you have this strange yellow thing on the top of your head that's showing up on our scanner." And so, and he said, "Well, you go ahead, touch my head." There was nothing there, but that's where he was bringing in the energy.
Right.
So he told the story in one of the seminars, and Dr. Joe said, "Well, you know what? If he can do that, I can do it too." And he started bringing energy into his heart. And then he forgot about it. And when he was at the airport and went through the thing, they pulled him aside. And they said, "You know, are you wearing a big medallion? You know, can we, test you with the metal detector?" And he's like, "I'm not wearing any jewelry." And they said, "Well, you've got this big thing that's showing up right in the center of your chest." But it was where he was bringing the energy in. And so if you think about that, bring that joy in, bring that love in, bring it into the heart center, and then beam it out, just beam it out. And whatever it's going to touch and whatever it's going to attract, bring it right back to you, because guess what? You deserve it.
Absolutely. And you have to believe that you deserve it. You have to know that you deserve it.
Truly.
And
have that opinion. Absolutely, Michael.
I love those two. I get beamed all the time, but it's generally because I'm wearing an angel pendant around my neck. And they want to know. They literally can we, have you got something right there around your lower? I said, yeah, it's my angel pendant, and they they look at it, they run the wand over it, and it goes, whatever. Yeah, it's great. I'd say that, I heard something really kind of interesting the kings and queens, kings wear crowns, right? And queens wear tiaras, and that your crown chakra, and I believe that somebody told me that's where that came from. Your gold crown, the crown, because an open chakra looks like a crown, evidently. And I said to myself, wow, that's interesting. And queens wear tiaras, which are also open, and the crown was supposed to be so that to signify that the king was getting knowledge from higher above, from a source that his underlings could not, and that's what the crown signified. I thought that was interesting. Gonna have to look that one up again. But it sounded pretty good to me, Yeah. Yeah. We all need to have a crown chakra that's that open, right? That receptive to what's to other energies that are above us. But that's fantastic. Opening the heart chakra before we engage in anything is a great idea. It's a wonderful idea. And we have to be mindful that that's the approach that we want to take. And it's kind of similar to, again, golf. That's what we have to have. We have to have an open heart chakra and be very compassionate and forgiving and loving of ourselves, so that we can forgive more easily and let go more easily, which is really the point. We have to let go of the past. There is only now. The past, present, and future lives right here, right now, in this moment, and they all live on different planes of reality. So it's something that you have to wrap your mind around. However, instead of concerning ourselves with how, in my view, it's better just to go with it and just say, fine, if that's the case. That being said,
I love that movie, by the way. Just go with it.
Yeah, just go with it. Just go with it.
That was Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. She pretended to be his wife, and I mean, and sometimes, what, life can be that ridiculous. You just got to go with it. You just go, well, what the heck is this showing up for? And I guess I just got to go with it. I got to see how it's going to all unfold.
That's true. Just go with it.
I love that, Michael. I truly. I mean, you just have to. Sometimes you think, wow, you look back and you wonder. But I think when you open yourself up like that, and like you said, whether you're on the golf course, so maybe you make a shot that doesn't go exactly where you want it to go. It allows you at that opportunity, rather than being frustrated, it allows you the opportunity to be creative, right? And you kind of say, okay, so now I'm going to be open to this experience and let it flow. Okay, I'm going to, size up how do I need to recalibrate? What do I need to do? Now, of course, I'm taking liberties because I'm not a golfer, so defer to you, Michael.
Language. You're using all the right language. That's right. You're just recalibrating your thinking. That's all you're doing. The antithesis, not the antithesis, but the definition of golf. The definition of golf is just like life. It's not going to go the way you think it's going to go, right? You can have a positive perception. However, what you have to be is agile and flexible all along the way. Be willing to let go of those things that don't happen as well, because you're dealing with a mind-body thing. Just like life, it's a mind-body connection. You have to have a mind-body connection in life. And what you think instantly manifests into the physical, more so than life, which is why I love the game. Because when you think miracle, the probability of miracle goes up exponentially, and you actually can create the miracle, right? So I think I told you the other, hitting a shot from off the green when you're into a little 4-inch hole from like 30, 40 yards away with a club is literally a miracle. And instead of saying, I can't believe I did that, go, yeah, more to come. More to come.
Oh, I love that. More to come. That's fantastic.
And that just reinforces that positivity, which begets more positivity. We talk about positive begetting positive all the time. And this is, instead of shooting ourselves in the foot and telling us, I can't believe this, how the heck did that happen, why did that happen, let's just take it as a win and go and move on. Just pat yourself on the back, be grateful, and know that you have that infinite potentiality to create what it is that you want to create. And I can tell you, the magic happens. The magic happens. You just remain calm and move on. Right? That's really it. It's really wonderful, and it's an instantaneous reflection of what your thinking is. Instantaneous, and you can tell. You can tell people. It's interesting because I love watching. The Olympics is coming up in another at the end of July.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I love watching the Olympics. And what I love watching and sensing, really, what I'm doing is watching and I'm sensing. I'm sensing the tide of positivity that people have. You can tell when someone is when the tide is positive and when the tide is negative. You can really tell that. You can tell that in a game, in a sports game, in a football game, in a basketball game, whatever. You can tell when the tide changes and who has the momentum, they call it, momentum. It's really like a waterfall of positivity versus now a waterfall of negativity. I know you can watch hockey for years, and you can sense when the momentum is with one team or another. And that's simply a belief system. One believes they can win more than the other. Belief in themselves, belief in their abilities, right? And that's what I love watching. Right. That's why I love watching the Olympics, is to see that change in tide, that change in momentum, and what it can actually do. I know it was. I love watching the women's U.S. soccer team. To me, they're all absolutely amazing people. I love watching them more than I like watching the men, because not only are some exceptional players that I think can beat men all day long. What I love about it is the way that they come together to make something happen. And the team just this last year was there's something called a CONCACAF Cup, which is basically a Northern South American cup, Central American, South American Cup, where all the teams come together in Central America and Northern America, and they play to play the game, and it's held in the United States, and it's hosted here in the United States. And Brazil, the United States beat the Brazilian team, which was a feat in and of itself. In and of itself, they were probably, I was blown away by their momentum and by their positivity, by their creativity. It's just the energy that was there, the presence of positive energy was just amazing. And they won because they knew they were going to win, and their mindset was straight down that path, and it never wavered. And you could tell when the Brazilian team got a little wobbly there at some particular point. You could just sense it, and they took full advantage of it by staying positive, and they made it happen. And that's the kind of story that I love to see in sports. It's the kind of story I love to see in movies when I watch them. The transformational story, the narrative, which is always pretty awesome. But, we have those ourselves in life every day on a smaller scale.
Well, and it's a fantastic metaphor because about, creating a positive ripple effect. And whether you're on a team and one player does something really good, and then it just, like you said, it builds that momentum, it fosters a stronger communication, and they're building a community of positivity, and then they're just ready to go for it. And every little thing, and sometimes it's the underdog who and it's a total upset because they have that vision and they have that synergy that they're working together. Now, we have that ability too. I believe that our emotions are contagious. So, like when I hear your voice when you call me, I'm so excited. I'm like, hey, Michael, and it's a genuine, I can feel your joy. I can feel the love that you're putting into what you're doing in your day. I know that whenever I speak to you, that your choice to make your day amazing. And it uplifts me. And I'm sure that in the people in your community around you, then they see you walking in the morning. Hi, Michael. They are feeling it. You are fostering a completely different viewpoint because joy and love are your focal point. And that's what you're radiating out. And I love that idea of, creating those positive ripples. So in your day, if you have that challenge, even if you have to take a step back and find something, as Carol says, like even if it's the screensaver on your cell phone, find a video that you love and pivot that and watch that and bring that into your field, because whatever it is that makes you laugh, or calling somebody and saying, you know what, I just need a kind word. I'm having a little bit of a challenge right now. Can you help me shift this? And that's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable enough to say that, you know what, I can't do this all myself. And maybe that's what you need. And maybe that positivity, that, even like when you call me and there's something going on and you give me those encouraging words, that's creating that ripple effect in my world that things are getting done, or Absolutely. That I'm going to have a great day, amazing day.
So true. That is exactly right. Spot on. That is exactly the way it works. And if we could get out of our own way, we can, on a daily basis, beginning first thing in the morning, and know that everything's going to be all right, everything will work out. Have a heart-centered day. Set up a heart-centered day. Establish from the very, very beginning if you've got a family, with your significant other, your kids if you have them, even your pets. Have a heart-centered beginning to your day, and everything will go completely different than it normally does, because it'll be heart-centered. Because you'll start to see opportunities where they didn't exist before, because you didn't see them as opportunities, and the energy of your day will flow differently. And when you do it day after day after day, things get so much better. Things just flow. Mm-hmm. So being in the flow is more about how you begin your day. And I heard the other day that I read somewhere that a smile is absolutely essential for the process of manifestation. It's absolutely essential. It's one of the main ingredients, smiling. The energy of a smile is, it's contagious, number one, and it takes you to a place that a frown obviously cannot. And when I go into a store, I say hi. It doesn't matter who their name is. I read their badges, though. I read badges really fast, and I will say someone's name quicker than they can think, and they just walk by me, right? My eye goes directly to their badge in a split second, a hair of a second, and then I say, Hey, hi, Fred, how are you? And they're going, hey, I'm good today. And then I leave them thinking, wait a minute, did I meet him somewhere? Did something else? That was great. That was a nice burst of energy. But I love it. People love to hear their own name.
Absolutely.
Sign of respect, number one. However, if I don't know their name and I don't have that opportunity, I call all women, young ladies, every one of them. 3 times this morning when I went to the store, I got thanked. Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. Thank you for referring to as young lady. I don't care. I think you're 99 years old. I call you a young lady because it's a state of being. It's always only a state of being. It's not.
But the people that you recognize too, Michael, I know because I know you remember them. And there's something about that. You'll find something, whatever it is, something in a conversation if you see them again, you'll remember it and you bring it up because it was something that touched your heart something that was memorable to you. I go out every 2 to 3 weeks to a place where the dog food is so reasonable, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and because I have a plethora of pups to feed, it is so cost effective for me. And the guy who checks me out, there's lots of different people, but I love this young man. He's just out of high school, and he's got nice rosy cheeks, and we laugh. He's like, "Oh, it's you again." I said, "Yep, I got 8 cases of this food," and it's like, okay, so that's 96 cans times the price, and then I've got 7 of these, and there's 16 of these in a box, and I've got 5 of those, and I mean, literally, my car's packed by the time I leave there. But he just, and he likes to play pool, and I've learned all these little things as he's checking me out, and we have a fun time. But you know what? I'll tell you, my heart just lights up when I see him. I'm like, oh, good, I get to go to his line. But there's something about, yes, I know his name, and I know little snippets about his life, but every time I think of him, he's got a beautiful smile and a beautiful heart, and I see it, and I feel it, and I'm excited to see him and not just because he makes the process easier. And I think, I'm sure he's like, oh, yeah, you're here again. The first couple times were interesting. He's like, boy, you got a lot of food. But I do. I love making that connection. I feel like these people are friends. Let's go out to dinner some night. I read, just to learn more about them. And I don't know. And I think you're absolutely right, because that when you have that happiness and joy, you're actually releasing chemicals in your own brain. That those endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that contribute to your overall well-being. So why not be happy? Why not have a big smile? Why not be bubbling over with exuberance and joy? I think it's, I don't know, I just have fun. I mean, you can make anything fun and anything joyful. And, I always try to have a positive outlook for sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. It's an energy that a presence and an energy that everybody can sense, and it's a lot of fun to see people light up from wherever they were, to take them from where they were to a higher place in terms of thinking and feeling. That to me is one of our, as human beings, most powerful, potent. What is it I'm looking for? The word I'm looking for is one of our...
I think it's a gift, really.
Powerful attributes, yes, as human beings.
Yeah.
We have, go ahead, yeah, that word does. Our powerful attributes as human beings. We have that ability to that. And one of the things we can't escape is the fact that we have the ability to choose how we feel. And to transform how we feel in any given moment. And a smile is one of the main ways that we can not only transform ourselves, but transform those around us. And it doesn't require any real effort to smile, to think of something positive in your life. We all have something, to be grateful for, and that can put a smile on our face. It's just a function of, from the first thing we get up, as Carol said, set the stage for the right state of being. We have to do that right from the time we get up. And it also starts too by what you do when you go to bed. If you're
Sure.
anxious and worried and fearful when you go to bed, what do you think you're going to be in the morning? It's not going to magically disappear. It's likely that your whole state of being will, your dream state will reflect that fear, that worry, that concern. Because the ego goes to work, gets to dance when you're asleep. So I would, I do it my best, and I tell couples this all the time: never go to bed angry, never go to bed disgusted, never go to bed unloving of your partner. If there's something that you need to work out before you go to bed. Sit down, that's
such great advice.
Yeah, sit down and have a conversation. and never go to bed wanting of something from someone or something. It's just, your mind is going to take over, and it's going to totally disrupt what it is that your natural sleep state, because it'll be right there. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, you'll be thinking about it. I shouldn't say if, but when, because most of the time fear can just prey on you overnight. And you wake up in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're like thinking about that thing that you're fearful of. Instead of going back to sleep, your mind keeps replaying the various scenarios of hows and whys and the possibilities and probabilities and, oh my gosh, chances and choices. Instead, just work it out before you go to bed. Take a few minutes, work it out, and decide on a course of action. Write down that course of action, get it out of your head, and then just go to sleep. You'll have a great night's sleep, and you'll wake up in the morning knowing what you're going to do.
Crowd it out. I think that's, love it. I have heard so many times that love and fear cannot coexist at the same time.
True.
Love and hatred, whatever it is. And so I would rather have loves too. I think so too. I mean, that is to be, the guiding presence. It transforms your life, my life, other people's lives. It enhances our relationships. It makes me creative when I'm in a happy state, feeling love and feeling exuberant and feeling joy. I feel like I have this well of creativity. I can't sort of put a handle on stopping all the ideas coming through, and it helps me sort of bring in the things that I want, oftentimes very unexpectedly. But I do feel at the end of the day I'm fulfilled and I'm joyful, and even going to bed at 6:30 in the morning, knowing that I had to get up in 2 hours, I was still like, okay, come on, let's go. Yes, I did take a nap later on in the day. I will, confess to that, but it's still, I was so, joyful, and I think that that's really, really how I would encourage all of our listeners to end their day.
I agree. There's no better way to live. And when you have a choice about, positive or negative, I'm certain if you making that conscious, it's not a stretch to say I'd like to be positive over negative. Nobody's going to say I want to be negative all day. I want to have a bad day. Nobody says that. You really want to have a good day, and that's a choice we make in every moment, whether we're going to have a good day or a bad day. And I like to have good days. Days full of joy and happiness, and when we get done with this radio show, that's exactly where I'm going to, run right into the night doing with that mindset of happiness and joy. And how can I keep this happiness train rolling all night with the choices I make about what to see, perhaps as a movie, or what to eat, how to prepare it. Happiness, joy, love. It's all. If we want it to be part of our lives, it will be. We'll make it part of our lives, and we have to make a bigger effort, to make it part of our lives on a daily basis, and not get caught up in the drama that is everything outside of us. We're happy, we're content, we've got a roof over our heads. Many of us, the vast majority of us in this country, even someone who is without a home has something to be grateful for. And that will lead to other good things as well. Keeping a positive attitude, no matter what your state of being, whatever your state of reality is, that state of reality is controlled by the next thought you have, whether you continue to reinforce it or whether you change it. And you have control over all of that. It's a really interesting conundrum for a lot of people, and I just hope our listeners can embrace the fact that when you operate from the heart, really good things happen. Good synchronicity, things occur, and just watch out for them, and that's what you'll see. Okay?
No, thank you.
How much time have we got?
So grateful, Michael.
Talking for everything.
Just a few minutes, not very long. And
awesome.
I know. Well, that's because we're letting joy and love be our guide, Michael. It's this interaction in this time-space reality that we're sharing with these amazing audience that we have. We're so grateful to all of you, and we do, There's just so many meaningful connections that you can make when you connect love. I know it might sound difficult for some people, simple for others, but I think, just take a moment and open your heart and find something you truly love, no matter what it is, if it's a simple flower outside or the beautiful blue skies or the constellations in a clear sky at night. Just find that thing that inspires you and let it be your guide. And Michael, thank you for being one of those inspirations, and
you
I'm
for
so
me.
grateful to share
Absolutely.
this time with you.
You are each other's inspiration. You're welcome. Thank you.
Until next time.